People can't access their money, they can't go out after a certain time because it's too dangerous. The country is run by militias. Everybody has a weapon. Death is normal, torture is normal. There are many people in prison or imprisoned on a regular basis. It's become illegal to talk about Muammar Gaddafi in a favorable way. This is their freedom. So the contrast in a very short space of time of, for me to think about, it's been a year now. Last year, Libya was a completely different place from what it is now today. Of course,
complete mess.
Hundreds of thousands of people have had to flee the country, So it's very shocking to see. But I was saying as well about the women. And one of the other things that struck me as well was the women played a very strong role in the security of the country. Yeah. It's very obviously well known that Gaddafi's closest bodyguards were women. Yeah. And also you would see, I would see the women in the army at checkpoints and volunteers as well. This is very important because actually most of the checkpoints in Tripoli were not run by the army. They were run by ordinary men and women because a lot of women trained during the crisis to use weapons to defend their families and their neighborhoods. And I have amazing footage of women volunteers running checkpoints. And this, in a traditional and quite conservative society like Libya, shows really the amazing achievements that were made under the Jamahiriya system.
Like a journalist, you can say this is the first media war?
I don't know about the first because the media, it's very well known that truth is the first casualty of war. So it's always the media that sacrifices.
That's a phrase from Winston Churchill.
I believe so, but Hitler also said if you repeat a lie over and over and over again, then people will believe it. So, they're not stupid, these people either. But it was definitely the most vicious media war that I've seen in my lifetime, personally. It made the lies told about Iraq with the babies and the incubators seem like truth, or seem like nothing compared to the
late 90s.
Yeah, I mean, but the lies told about Libya, the lies about Iraq are nothing in comparison. The lies about Libya were relentless, were daily. And every time, you get to the bottom of one lie, there's a new lie that has come out. So, and the difference as well with Iraq is that in the Western press, there was a slight room. And of course, there was big opposition in the West, the war in Iraq. So there was slight room in the more liberal press for a questioning of the official narrative. In Libya, it was uniform. The war was justified. Civilians needed protecting, despite the fact that there was absolutely no evidence for the claim that civilians were in danger. None whatsoever. There was a 70 NGOs that signed a document saying that Gaddafi had killed 6,000 people or that people were under threat. And if any journalist would have done their homework, this completely violates the procedures of the United Nations. This means that anybody can go to the United Nations with a document and say, some people told us that so many people were killed, get 17 NGOs to sign it, and then a country gets suspended from the Human Rights Council, and this provides the whole basis for the justification of a military aggression. Yeah. It's completely insane. So, but none of the media ever questioned in the slightest this narrative at all. So, and then of course we saw Al Jazeera play a very, very, very sinister role, and it's been proven numerous times now, not just in Libya but also in Syria, how not only did they mislead the public, but they completely fabricated video reports, and they completely. They were the originator of the claim that Gaddafi was bombing people from the air.
They made a false green square
in the studios in Qatar, And I've been
with actors and everything.
Yeah, and I've been to the 3 places in Tripoli that they said were bombed. They were bombed, and there was no signs of this at all. And of course, Russian intelligence satellites showed that there was no air activity on those days. So the role, I mean, and it's no surprise. It's no surprise. Really, when you look into who Al Jazeera is, who the BBC is, who the CNN is, who they're funded by, which interests they represent, Al Jazeera is funded by the Qatari royal family. The Qatari royal family is at the forefront of openly supporting the insurgency in Libya and Syria. They have made no secret of it. And they sent 5,000 rebels by sea to invade Tripoli. They have offered in Syria rewards to people who defect from the army. They're openly financing and arming the Syrian rebels. So, the Al Jazeera is directly run by the Qatari royal family, so it's no surprise that they have played the role that they have played. But what is more surprising is that people don't question that.
Like British, how do you felt when you were there and your government was part of this invasion?
Yeah, I felt deeply ashamed, And for example, as I told you, when I went to Zlitan and I watched those 85 people being buried, and I watched the whole town in mourning, and those bombs, they came from British planes, And even if they didn't come from British planes, as humanity, we should all be ashamed that we stand by and we allow this to happen. But as a British citizen in particular, I felt a deep sense of shame and disgust at my country and where I come from. I feel deeply conflicted as a reporter, as a British reporter. Just because I'm a British citizen and I speak English and I'm white, that the reports that I made about Libya got a lot more attention than what thousands, hundreds of thousands of Libyan people were saying. And when I was in Tripoli, when the NATO bombed the rebels into Tripoli, if I had been a Libyan at that time when the rebels came into the city, I would be dead because of the fact that I hadn't supported their narrative, or the fact that I had shown what people who supported Gaddafi were saying. And actually, somebody from the British Special Forces, he said to me, he came in my face, he was angry with me, and he said to me, that British passport that you hate so much is what is going to save your skin. And he was right. And so in a way, I feel even deeply ashamed that privilege as well, that just because we, as reporters from CNN, BBC, even myself, just because we have this Western citizenship, that what we are saying is listened to more by the world than what the people directly on the ground and in that situation. And there were many Libyans that were trying very hard to make the world listen to them. They were making videos, putting them on YouTube, showing, for example, the mass lynching of black Libyans, and nobody cared. Nobody listened. It didn't matter. It was more important what the BBC was saying, despite that we know in England that the BBC is corrupt and that they have lied in the past and that they don't represent people's interests. We still rather listen to them than to people who are directly in that situation.